We start, though, in Budapest, where the excitement continues to build ahead of tomorrow night's Champions League final between Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain. Our reporter, Dharmesh, is at the Puskás Arena, and we can join him again now. Dharmesh, you were at the PSG news conference just, 20 or so minutes ago, and there's some big team news. Remind us of that from a PSG point of view.
Yeah, there certainly is, Will. As you can see, the Paris Saint-Germain players are out there now for their open training session. They're contracted to have the cameras here for a whole hour, which is very different to normal Champions League games, which is around 10 to 15 minutes. If I just get out of the way, then I can explain what Luis Enrique and the players have been saying. You mentioned that there were a few fitness issues going into this final. Ballon d'Or holder Ousmane Dembélé was one of those issues. He had a calf issue when PSG played their final Ligue 1 game against Paris FC. He has since said he will be fit. He is actually one of the players that PSG put in front of the media a few moments ago, and he said, I will be 100% fit for the final tomorrow night. I guess that means a bit of bad news for Arsenal, as that incredible front three of Dembele, Désiré Doué and Kvaratskhelia Kvaratskhelia should all start now for Paris Saint-Germain. Kvaratskhelia, of course, a huge danger man for Arsenal. Only Kylian Mbappe and Harry Kane have more goals in this season's competition. A couple of other big injury concerns going into this game for PSG was in the full-back position. Achraf Hakimi came off with a thigh issue in the semi-final first leg against Bayern Munich. He hadn't played since. Nuno Mendes also came off in that game with a thigh problem. He did make the second leg, but then aggravated that problem. I just asked Luis Enrique in that news conference whether both of those players would be fit. He said, yes, they are okay and they are available. So just to sum up, Ousmane Dembele, Achraf Hakimi and Nuno Mendes all fit for this game against Arsenal in the Champions League final.
Dharmesh, PSG trying to retain the Champions League, something very few teams have ever managed to do. If they can get that over the line against Arsenal, how big an achievement would that be? Will we be talking about Paris Saint-Germain as one of the greatest of all time?
I mean, it certainly looks like they could be on the verge of, creating a dynasty or a PSG era in the Champions League. They did make history last season, didn't they? Finally getting a Champions League over the line for the very first time. Win it again tomorrow, and they will become just the second team to successfully defend the trophy since the league phase was introduced back in 1992. The other team, of course, they love this competition, Real Madrid. And in Luis Enrique, you would have to say they have one of the best managers in European football. Won the domestic treble in his first season as the club moved away from that Galactico approach that they had taken on. And when Kylian Mbappe left 2 years ago, it paved the way really for a style Luis Enrique wanted to implement with young players. And I think you can safely say that style has come to fruition. It's easy to forget that in the last two seasons, PSG didn't actually qualify automatically for the round of 16. They finished outside the top 8 in that group phase. They were required via a playoff to continue their progress in the competition. But continue their progress they did, and I think it's safe to say that Luis Enrique and PSG quite like a game against English opposition. So Arsenal, you have been warned. Last season, you remember, they beat Manchester City, they beat Liverpool, they beat Aston Villa, and then of course they beat Arsenal in the semi-finals. This season it was Chelsea and of course Liverpool in the quarter-finals. They were both taken care of in the knockout stages. I think Luis Enrique was also asked the question in that news conference about whether this was a meeting of two opposites almost, the irresistible force that is PSG, and some might call the immovable object that is Arsenal and their defence. He said, look, there are two teams with two ideas, and he didn't say one was right and one was wrong, and he was full of praise, you'd have to say, for Arsenal to win the league. They said they fully deserve to win the league. He said that they were under huge competition with Manchester City on their tails throughout the season. And he also had wholesome praise for Mikel Arteta. He said, look, 6.5 years in the job, and now he knows exactly the team that he is coaching. So let's see who comes out on top tomorrow, because I put it to Luis Enrique that Arsenal will have that sort of drive that PSG had last season when they went into that final against Inter Milan in Munich, knowing that they could create history by winning the Champions League for the first time ever. Arsenal are in that position tomorrow night. They go into this game trying to win the Champions League for the first time in their history. Luis Enrique says, yes, that is a very powerful motivation to try and win it for the first time. But then he said, trying to win it back to back, that is even stronger a motivation for a team. Kick-off here at the Puskás Arena tomorrow is at 5 o'clock, but plenty to come right here on Sky Sports News throughout the afternoon, not least Arsenal facing the media. Manager Mikel Arteta alongside skipper Martin Odegaard and Bukayo Saka. They will answer questions to the media at around 5:15. We will bring you that right here on Sky Sports News as the build-up to the 2026 Champions League final continues.
Thank you very much, Dharmesh. Yes, Dharmesh mentioned there. We heard from the PSG head coach Luis Enrique in the last hour. Victory against Arsenal tomorrow will put Enrique among an elusive group of managers that have won 2 straight Champions League titles.
That was my objective. It was my goal, the goal of the club, the goal of the sporting director. Yeah, it was in the plan. Maybe not faster than we achieved it, but I think we deserve to win the last Champions League. We were, for me, the best or the better team. And yeah, it's more easy when you have the possibilities that we have as a coach and the facilities that the club and of course the level of the players that I have to achieve those goals. And in this moment we are thinking about the future. The future is winning tomorrow another important trophy, and that's the goal.
Hello. Luis Enrique, hi. Dharmesh from Sky Sports News. Just 2-part question. First of all, the fitness of Hakimi and Nuno Mendes, are they fit? And also, last year, you had the motivation of trying to create history for this club by winning the first Champions League. Now Arsenal have that same motivation. How powerful is that?
Yeah, it's powerful. But you know how powerful it is try to win the second Champions League in a row? It's bigger. So we are in advance. And Haki, Nuno, they are okay. They are able to play tomorrow.
With the World Cup around the corner, there is no let-up for the elite players on both sides. But by one measure, it's the French club whose stars enter the contest fresher. Luis Enrique has rested many of his key players for League One games this season, a luxury afforded to him by weaker domestic opposition and incredible squad depth built with the enormous financial backing of the club's Qatari owners. Because of their 11th place finish in the league phase, PSG have racked up 16 Champions League games to reach the final knockout phase playoff against French rivals Monaco, while Arsenal have played 14. Of those who lined up for the club's respective semi-final second legs, Mikel Arteta's starting 11 amassed almost 7,000 extra minutes of playing time in league games this season, 6,726 to be precise.